while the man who is pain, given pain by fear and stuff, is a coward. For moral excellence is concerned with pleasures and pains. It is on account of the pleasures that we do bad things, and on account of the pain that we abstain from noble ones. Now that's a weird sentence. Let's wade through that one more time. Moral excellence is concerned with pleasure and pain. Fine. It is on account of the pleasures that we do bad things, and on account of the pain that we abstain from noble ones. So it's on the account of pleasure that you do bad things like go out and gamble and waste all your money and stuff. And it's on the account of pain that we abstain from noble ones. We know it's a noble thing to do, we know it's a good thing, and we know it's the right thing, but it's difficult. Now if you could reverse your view of that and say, no, the vicious thing, the thing that's bad, that I think will give me pleasure, ultimately leads to pain. And this act of perseverance or dedication or whatever that seems painful and difficult and hard and enduring actually will end up giving you a great deal of pleasure. But that is the question of moral excellence, isn't it? Hence we ought to have been brought up in particular way from our very youth, as Plato says, so as to delight in and to be pained by things that we ought. For this is the right education. Now, there are limited possibilities there, aren't there? There's only so much you can do in education, and then a lot of it's up to human nature. So, like, we can't just give little boys and little girls sex-neutral toys and expect them to be sex-neutral when they grow up. They are still biologically boys and girls. You know, there's the big myth that we force pink Barbies on girls and we force tools and trucks on boys, and they just learn to take them. No, little boys want to play with trucks, and little girls want to play with dolls. It's nothing we do. We're just acceding to their desires. So education has limited possibilities. Human beings, you crash up against the human when you try to educate humanity away. Again, if the virtues are concerned with actions and passions, and every passion and every action is accompanied by pleasure and pain, for this reason also virtue will be concerned with pleasure and pain. Now he says something which, just hold on and take it as you will. It's just 2 sentences, and he ends with something that is very questionable. This is indicated also by the fact that punishment is inflicted by these means, for it is a kind of cure. Punishment's a kind of cure, and it is the nature of cures to be affected by contraries. It is the nature of cures. If a thing cures you, it's because it's from the nature. It's right. Contraries. Right. Okay. All right. So skip a bit. Oh no, we're not skipping, but just skip that thought. Leave it as it is. Again, as we said but lately, every state of soul has a nature relative to and concerned with the kind of things by which it tends to be made worse or better. But it is by reason of pleasures and pains that men become bad, by pursuing and avoiding these. Skip a little. Hence men even define the virtues as certain states of impassivity and rest. So, coming to believe that pain is bad and pleasure is good, there are certain men who have said that it is a virtue to rest. He says how odd this is. And then we skip a little bit. We assume then that this kind of excellence tends to do what is best with regard to pleasures and pains, and vice does the contrary. Again with the contrary thing. I don't know. I think that's just a bit of confused. Maybe it's full of stuff I can't see into, but it seems a bit rationalistic. The following facts also may show us that virtue and vice are concerned with these same things. There being 3 objects of choice and 3 of avoidance, 3 to choose, 3 to avoid. The noble, the advantageous, the pleasant, and the contraries. The noble, advantageous, and pleasant. The base, the injurious, and the painful. I don't know how I came up with those. About all of these, the good man tends to go right and the bad man wrong, and especially about pleasure, for this is common to the animals, and also it accompanies all objects of choice, for even the noble and the advantageous appear pleasant. So pleasant is what you go after in all cases. The noble and the advantageous appear pleasant, but then the vicious and the low appears pleasant, and that's why people go for that, because they think it's going to be pleasant. But the noble and the advantageous are actually pleasant, so they appear pleasant in a certain way, but they're difficult. So pleasantness or happiness, it's what everybody's aiming at. We're all concerned with how to have a pleasant existence. Again, it has grown up with us all from our infancy. This is why it is difficult to rub off this passion, ingrained as it is in our life. And we measure even our actions, some of us more and others less, by the rule of pleasure and pain. For this reason, then, our whole inquiry must be about these. For to feel delight and pain rightly or wrongly has no small effect on our action. So if you feel delight and pain, if you feel them in the correct way, you're going to be better off than if you feel them incorrectly. Right? Certain things that are not good actually give you a lot of pleasure, you're going to go to prison or die with a bullet to the back of the head, like that mass murderer who liked to cut people and bite them. Again, it is harder to fight with pleasure than with anger, to use Heraclitus' phrase. Harder to fight with pleasure than with anger. Right? Pleasure. How do you resist pleasure? You can resist anger. But both art and virtue are always concerned with what is harder. For even the good is better when it is harder. Right? Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I don't think that he gave an airtight case for that here. But therefore, for this reason, also, the whole concern, both of virtue and political science, is with pleasures and pains. For the man who uses these well will be good, and he who uses them badly will be bad. That virtue, then, is concerned with pleasures and pains, and that by the acts from which it arises it is both increased, and, if they are done differently, destroyed, and that the acts from which it arose are those in which it actualizes itself. Let this be taken as said. So that was conclusion. Alright, on to the next bit. The question might be asked what we mean by saying that we must become just by doing just acts, and temperate by doing temperate acts. For if men do just and temperate acts, they are already just and temperate, right? Exactly as if they do what is in accordance with the laws of grammar and music, they are grammarians and musicians. Or is this not true even of the arts? It is possible to do something that is in accordance with the laws of grammar, either by chance or by the suggestion of another. A man will be a grammarian, then, only when he has both done something grammatical and done it grammatically. And this means doing it in accordance with the grammatical knowledge in himself. Okay? So if you're just ordered or taught or directed to do something, that's different than if you do it of your own knowledge, as he says, the knowledge in himself. So a good man who simply does something good because he's ordered to is not as good as a good man who does something good because he understands why he should do it.